Are you good? All right, we can get started.
All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the City of Isani special meeting, City Council for Monday, December 28th. Persistent to Minnesota Statute 13D.02, the public body has determined that the Isani City Council will not be able to hold the meeting in person due to the pandemic COVID-19. Persistent to Minnesota Statute 13D.021, the Isani City Council will be holding the City Council meeting via telephone by using Zoom. I would now like to call this meeting to order. If we could all rise for Pledge Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Taking roll call, all council members are present, except for Councilman Collison and Councilman Burgley. Is there any public comment at this time?
Jeff, I do believe that Councilmember Burgley is on.
I am on, Jeff.
Councilman Burgley, good to hear from you, sir.
Yep,
I retract what I said then. The only one not present is Councilman Collison. All other council members are present. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Make a motion to adopt.
I have a motion to adopt the agenda from Councilman Lundin. Do I have a second?
Second it.
And I have a second by Councilman Gordon. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
Steve Lundin, aye.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
Burgley said aye.
Councilman Lundin?
He said aye.
I said aye.
Got you there, and myself is aye as well. Therefore, the agenda is adopted 4-0. Moving on to business items, Resolution 2020, adopting the 2021 final budget.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. So as you probably saw in your memo in the packet, there was an error when adopting the levy. The final levy cannot exceed the adopted preliminary levy that we did in September. Therefore, we did need to call this special meeting to have that corrected by today at the end of the day so we can submit that documentation to the county. The difference is that the final levy was $29,566 more than the adopted preliminary one, so that has been corrected. That correction will result in a 1% reduction in the tax rate compared to what we had as a flat rate, which is what we proposed in September.
Do I have any discussion on this item?
I would just like to bring this back to the same point that we discussed when we had the first meeting early in December. You know, the splash pad bathrooms, for the bathrooms that we have in the budget for the splash pad, for a future splash pad that we have budgeted this year, and then we have the amphitheater. We've got $454,000 there in this budget and levy that we're collecting for that and budgeting for that. I asked Mike about that, and he said on average, between all the parcels that we collect on, that's about $230 per parcel that we could save people by cutting those things out. I mean, do you guys have any interest in entertaining that idea, or?
So you're wanting to cut the bathrooms out of the budget and what else?
The amphitheater. With the bathrooms in the amphitheater is $454,000, and if we cut those, that's going to save people $230 per parcel on average.
For 1 year there, Councilman Gordon?
Yep, that's for this year's budget. It'll save for this year's tax we're talking about $230 per parcel on average, and that's, you know, taking into account, you know, residential and commercial and, you know, and that kind of thing. But $230 on average per parcel we would save by cutting the splash pad bathrooms and cutting the amphitheater.
My
The
only
only
feeling,
reason-
oh, go ahead, Councilman Burgley.
I guess the only reason I would want it to go forward is just because, I'm not ready to kill it yet. And I'd want to study it more because we've talked about it. Just because we put it in the budget, it still has to go through council to pass it. Am I right on that? Does anyone know that answer?
You are correct.
So just because we put it forward at this time it gives us a chance to, I would like to, you know, talk to more people about it, you know, and just because we put it in the budget doesn't mean we can't take it out later. I mean, this is just a budget that we're saying go forward with it. We still have to pass it. That's my thought.
Sure. Well, Paul, how about, I mean, would you be open to, maybe instead of budgeting and earmarking that money for the splash pad bathrooms in the amphitheater, would you be open maybe to moving that money, to the general fund, keeping the levy the same, collect the same amount of dollars, but instead of that $454,000 being earmarked for the splash pad bathroom in the amphitheater, we move it to the general fund, and then if we need it for those things, as we discuss them and we learn more about them, and we decide that maybe we either do want to do those things or we don't want to do those things, we pull the money and move it toward those projects. I could get behind that, you know, I mean, if we put the money aside, I'd hate to see it earmarked for something because it's so easy then to spend it because you say, well, we got the money there and let's do it, you know, and we need to get that general fund replenished anyway, so I'd rather see it go there and then have further discussion on the splash pad bathrooms in the amphitheater. Is that something you might be able to get behind?
Yeah, that's something I would consider. Yeah, I could picture that.
Here's my only problem is all we're doing is kicking the can down the road. I mean, I understand we're going to put it in the general fund, but to me, it would seem more easier to spend that money if we put it in a general fund versus earmarking it for a certain item. We're actually budgeting for that item. We've all came to an agreement in the past that we were going to need bathrooms. That was just, I could be wrong, but I believe it was compliance with what the state said we would have to do. So we had to put those bathrooms in that park for that amphitheater, for that splash pad, more so for the splash pad than the amphitheater, but they had to be there. So, I mean, that's
if you do those things, and I don't know, but I mean, I would imagine that porta potties could suffice as well, but.
Nope, they cannot, Councilman Gordon.
No.
Because if we do the splash pad, there has to be a potential locker / changing room.
No, right, yeah. The amphitheater, I don't know if that's required, is what I was saying. I mean, the porta potties might suffice for an amphitheater, but for a splash pad, yeah, I'm sure they require you to actually have real bathrooms. But I mean, I just think in the general fund, we want to replenish that anyway. I mean, that's something that, you know, we're already trying to get that back to the 50%. You know, of the basically 50% of the operating budget or whatever for each year. So I mean, we're already trying to build that up, and I just would rather see that money go in towards that first, and then if we decide we want to spend it on the bathrooms and the amphitheater, then we have it. But at least it allows us to have some further discussion in the future on that versus just earmarking it for that now.
One thing I would like Mayor and Council to point out is that this capital improvement fund, where the money is set aside for the bathrooms and the amphitheater and also that splash pad, which is down the road a couple of years, is in Fund 920, which is a general fund. So it really is basically the same thing. If you're looking to put it into fund balance might be different, but that can be done at any time. So if the projects they're just sitting, that money is just sitting there. When it comes time to evaluate if we do want to move forward with the project, then it can be evaluated then if we would rather that that year, put that towards fund balance instead of doing those and taking it out of Fund 920. It is a general fund though.
So
you're
either
saying-
way, we can move that money around, Councilman Gordon. Either way, if we,
Well, I know, and
if we
that's what
decide.
I'm saying. I just would like it to be set aside. I mean, I would like the splash pad bathrooms in the amphitheater to be pulled from the budget today, keep the levy the same and move the money into the general fund, so you're saying the fund balance, or there's a different?
I'm
not
saying
quite
that
following, Rosie, what?
the capital improvement fund, 920, is a fund expenditure fund. So it is sitting there, set aside also. If you're asked, that's different than, I mean, if you want to say earmarked or not, it does just sit there, like all of our capital improvement projects. If it doesn't need to be done, we don't do it. It just does sit there. That money is sitting in there fluidly. If we wanted to put that into, building up our fund balance, it can easily move there, is what I'm saying. That doesn't change
Right.
anything with the budget today.
Right. Well, I just am saying that I would like it to sit in the fund balance portion of it, going toward that 50% that we're trying to build up to, and not in that capital improvements where we spend money out of that account frequently, and that's what it's for, is to do capital improvements. So I just would like to, in a sense, save it, which you're saying if we put that in the general fund balance, then it is set aside more for that 50% mark we're trying to hit, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, I guess what I'm saying is, because it is, I mean, it can move there, that would take a council action to move it towards the fund balance, but it is in a general fund pool of money, so it can be moved very fluently. If you're not looking to amend the levy or change the tax rate from the 1% reduction right now, I think keeping it in where it's that pool of money right now is the same difference as if we put it into
Okay.
into
So
building
basically,
up that fund
we leave the
balance.
levy- If we left, so basically, if we left the levy the same, but we take from the budget, we remove the splash pad and the amphitheater for now, the money's gonna basically go to the same account, you're saying?
Yeah, yep. It would
And
take a
that's what
separate
I was-
council action to put that money into fund balance, but we still have to show that as revenue sitting there in a pot of money, and because that pot of money for the capital improvement, that 920 is general fund pot of money, it's the same difference.
Okay.
So
I
basically,
mean, I
we're
guess
doing
I
the
would be
same
okay
thing right
with
now,
that.
but
I mean,
instead
I
of
could
keeping
go
a
along
flat
with-
tax,
We leave the
we're
levy
gonna
the
go
same,
right-
which is
we're gonna
now
have a
1%,
1% reduction in the city.
decrease in the tax rate. And I could vote for it if we remove the splash pad and the amphitheater from the budget, and we still collect the money for it, but it's not necessarily earmarked for those projects until we have it if we need it, but then we can discuss further in the future if it's something that we wanna pursue, or how we wanna pursue that. Is that something that you guys could go along with at all, or?
I'd have to
I'm
do more
telling you right now,
homework before I even.
we're dropping tax,
Hold on, Councilmember Lundin, hold on. Councilmember Lundin is talking and over a couple people. Hold on, we'll let him talk. But for Jimmy's point, it would just be a transfer into to build up our fund balance. But we'll let Councilmember Lundin speak.
well, for right now, we should just accept the levy the way it is. We're giving them a 1% tax increase. We can put the money, we could transfer that money at a later time. I don't have a lot of time today to sit and discuss doing this and this and this. So I propose that we just accept the tax levy as is and move forward.
I would have to agree with Councilman Lundin. However, you guys keep saying we're giving them a 1% tax increase when we're actually giving them a 1% reduction.
If I did
Well,
say
that's what I
that,
said, decrease.
misspoke, but yeah,
I said
1%
decrease.
tax
You probably heard the increase.
Decrease is what I meant to say, yeah.
Yeah, Councilman Gordon and Councilman Lundin, both you said increase, and I would just wanted to make that clear that it's a reduction, not an
Yeah,
increase.
sorry about that.
I said decrease, so you probably heard it as increase. So we're still giving them a 1% decrease in the taxes. If we're done, like I said, I'd make a motion to accept the levy as is right now.
I have a motion from Councilman Lundin to accept the levy as is. Do I have a second?
Well, I just want to say before I motion here that, you know, I get Councilman Gordon's concern here. I'm not sure this is the year to do it, but I feel comfortable keeping it in the budget because we still have to approve it. So I'm not saying I'm ready to approve it for this year, but I'm ready to at least move the budget forward, and we can always take it out of the budget later. So I'll motion.
And I have a second from Councilman Burgley. All in favor, please state your name. Please, all in favor, please state your name and say aye.
Lundin said aye.
Paul Burgley, aye.
And myself, Jeff Johnson, aye. All opposed, same sign.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
So motion carries 3-1. The second item is a resolution 2020 adopting final 2020 tax levy collectible for 2021.
I make a motion to accept.
Ms. Wood, do we need to say anything on this, or we just need our motion?
We just need a motion, and Lundin gave a motion to accept.
And I did hear Councilman Lundin make a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Can we have discussion though?
Absolutely. Go ahead before.
Second, I second.
Okay, go ahead before I carry on then, Councilman Burgley.
So this is that 1% decrease we talked about, right?
Correct. This is correcting the general fund balance because of the number that was incorrect on that last resolution as well. It affected this resolution. So this was the same issue because we had that levy proposed incorrectly.
Hey, you? Yeah, just Mark. I'm on the phone right now.
That's why we have to also redo this resolution.
Okay.
And I have a second by Councilman Burgley. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
Steve Lundin, aye.
We had Lundin and Burgley aye at the same time.
Councilman Lundin and Councilman Burgley, aye. Jeff Johnson is an aye. Opposed, same sign.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
So the motion carries 3-1. Do we have anything else, Ms. Wood?
That is all. Thank you.
Do I have a motion
Make
to
a motion
adjourn?
to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman
Second.
Lundin, and I heard a second by Councilman Burgley. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
Paul Burgley, aye.
Steve Lundin, aye.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
And myself, Jeff Johnson, aye. Motion carries 4-0. Therefore, we stand adjourned. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you all for your
Thank you.
time. Appreciate it.
Yep, bye now.
Thanks.